Hi, my name is Mickey Weir and today I'm going to show you how to construct a DJ mix in Ableton Live 10. So I'll begin by opening up the program. You'll see by the pink here that it's the beta version, which is currently in public testing. The relevance to that is that it has a new channel EQ, which I'll be using today, and some workflow improvements, which I may be using as well. First thing I need to do here is to set out this project in a certain way for constructing a DJ set. That is in arrangement view and with a tempo of 138 as I'm working with trance, and -5 dB set on the master channel as I'm using the light version of Ableton at the moment, which doesn't have a limiter. This leaves a bit of headroom in case there's any clipping issues. Also, I'm going to delete these MIDI channels here, and the first audio channel, just leave one for now and rename that by hitting Ctrl R. Just going to call it channel 1 and then give it a nice turquoise color as well. So that's the basic set. The two main elements for making a DJ mix in Ableton is arrangement, where you would overlap tracks in time as you would play them physically out, and automation, which emulates the volume on a DJ mixer and the EQ. So I'm going to add the channel EQ here, which in the beta version is new compared to the old EQ3. So if I put them side by side, you'll see immediately that the 0 dB marker on the new EQ is set to 12 o'clock. This is exactly like a current DJ mixer, and also the dB only goes down to -15 and +15 dB on the knobs here. Again, this is more natural and more like a current real life DJ mixer. I'm not particularly sure why that was set on the old EQ, to be honest. Also, apparently the old EQ had some phasing issues, so this new channel EQ just simply sounds a lot better as well. So I'm going to add 3 lanes of automation. Physically on a DJ mixer I use the low, the mid and the high, as well as the volume fader. There are many other advanced techniques using filters and effects and echoes and things like that, but this is going to be a basic quick tutorial. So to add my lanes of automation, you need to click this automation mode button here, and you'll see as I've already clicked on the low that it's already added here. This little plus is an add automation lane button as well. If you click on there, I can now add the mid, and I can do this again, and from the drop down menu select track volume, which would be the volume fader on a mixer. Now on Ableton Live 9, the previous version, I think you could only have 2 lanes of automation. Not 100% sure, but this is a lot better than the old one. And that should be my channel set ready. I'm also going to duplicate this by hitting Control D and then quickly rename that to 2 and change the color slightly for visual reference. So the next part of the process is to drag in and warp the tracks that I'm going to be using, and then arrange them as I would over time. I'm going to do this by dragging them from Recordbox DJ from a playlist that I've previously created, which is a tribute mix to Connelly. You just drag in the track, as simple as that. And I'll just minimize that out of the way. And then now I need to warp these tracks as well. So to warp the tracks, you double click and then zoom in to the first downbeat of the waveform here. So that's bang on. Sometimes that can be wrong. To add a new one, you just simply right click and set 1.1.1 here. I'm going to do this anyway, just out of habit, and then also warp from here straight. Now you'll see that the BPM's changed ever so slightly, so I'm just going to type that back in, press enter. I'm also going to change the warping mode from beat to repitch. Now some DJs like to use Complex Pro. You'd also find that used a lot more in production, but as I'm trying to emulate real life hardware, I'm going to keep that as repitch, as it would be on a CDJ without the master tempo button enabled. The reason I do this is because I don't like the master tempo button. I feel like it causes the track to flutter, and I can hear that, and it sounds a little bit off to me, even though that the pitch is kept the same in the track, even if you change the speed. Also, if you are DJing and mixing harmonically, your key of the track shouldn't really change that much if you keep within 3%. So there's no need to really be using the master tempo button anyway. I'll just do the same for this track here. And you'll see that that's changed quite drastically. Just punch that back in and then change that to repitch. So a little bit about arrangement of tracks. They're usually structured in the same kind of way, with an outro and an intro, with straight bass and with bass that runs with the chord progression of the song. The bass, or the first drop, usually comes in around 33 bars, and then on the outro it can vary a little bit more. So what I need to do is arrange these tracks how I would play them in time. Just press Ctrl Z to go back there, as I chopped a little bit off by mistake. So in time, I would begin queuing the second track around about like the last drop. But the main thing would be to have the bass on the second track come in as the bass finishes on the first track. So that would be in the outro here. You'll see physically, you can see on the waveform that it's gone a little bit more thin. This will be because the bass has disappeared from straight bass to no bass at all, so that's just percussion and drums. And it's at this point here where I would want the bass on the second track to cross over for more impact and to keep the energy going. So there's always a bass line there, there's never a boring part where there's just percussion. Let me zoom out back in. So you can see it's around this 257 bar mark. So I'm just going to zoom in and bring this point forward, to the same point, and just zoom in for a little bit of precision. That looks pretty accurate. You can also right click and add a locator and just call that bass swap, as that would be the point I would physically swap the bass on the mixer EQ, cutting it out of the first track and bringing it in on the second. So that's great. I've got two tracks, both overlapping correctly in time, and both with the automation ready. So I'll start automating now. So I would physically, from this cue point, I'll be bringing the volume up until the bass swap here. So you can just click to add a breakpoint, click again, and then pull that down to -infinity on the mixer volume. And something I like to do as well is I like to have a kind of halfway point for the mids, and then the bass swap will be in this little section here where there's 1 bar and 4 beats, where I would want the bass to be in here, and then coming out of the first track here, simple bass swap. You don't need to add any curves, as on a volume fader it's linear. Crossfader has curves, because if you imagine a cross, physically there's a point where the volume dips on both tracks, so you'll get a dip. You don't need to do that with volume fading. And then I want the volume to start coming out at the start point of my bass swap here. This is a point made by Ellis, who's done pretty much the same video as I'm doing right now already, but I'm just doing it with these new updates. And I've also added the mid EQ here, whereas he hasn't as well. I mean, it can be a matter of opinion, or however you mix. I'm just trying to replicate how I would do it in real life. I would sometimes use the mids and cut the mids out on here as well, but I think that's a little bit too much for real estate reasons. So that there should be a perfect mix. If it's in time, warped correctly, so beat matched in real life. And this would, if you imagine maybe physically moving the volume fader up, slowly bringing the mid EQ in as well. I would probably usually do that from 9 o'clock on the EQ, but I'll just keep it as 0 for now, and then bass swap would physically be from 0 to, or from -15 to 0 dB. Sometimes at this halfway point as well, I like to do a little cut on the fader, so I'm just going to add that in as well. You don't have to do that, but that's just something that I like to do. So this should be ready for playback. I have to use my earphones so I don't get any feedback on this little lavalier microphone. And I'll give that a listen from here and see what that sounds like. Okay, that sounds pretty banging, pretty spot on, my opinion. So thinking back, if I was doing this from 9 o'clock, that would probably just be halfway between -15 and 0 dB. It's only going to 12 here. That must just be what it goes to on the EQ actually. So halfway would be 6. -6. So the other new updates to the beta version is that I can add a shape by highlighting here, right clicking insert shape, so I could like insert a fade instead of drawing it in. You see it adds a couple extra breakpoints though that I probably wouldn't need, so you'd have to click them off. That does come in handy a little bit later on down the line. And also if I wanted to add that from that -6, you can right click edit value and type in -6 now. So that would probably be more like the transition that I actually do in real life. Now that's just the transition that I do. I've learned by myself. I haven't really been taught how to DJ, that's just how I do it. It sounds good to me so far, and I've had quite a few gigs and nobody's complained. Also, I want to just quickly drop the mid EQ on there just so it's ready for the next track coming in, because it'll end up causing a weird fade in between otherwise. And let me think, I think that should be it. So thank you for watching.